Hey, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Yosha and I'm your go-to girl for all things real. So today I wanted to talk about what happened last night at the Oscars between Will Smith and Chris Rock. Will Smith smacked Chris Rock for insulting his wife's hair during the Oscars right before he accepted the award for Best Actor. But I want y'all to know that this is an open dialogue. Please do comment with your thoughts. Let me know if you think Will was wrong, if you think Chris was wrong. I'm going to be talking about what I thought about the things I saw online and just kind of giving my opinion about the whole situation. Be sure to subscribe, like this video if you want to see more videos like this. Celebrities are human first. He's a person, he's a husband, he's a father before his career. With that said, Black people, especially Black public figures, often feel the pressure to impress and represent the Black people of the world when it comes to being in spaces that are predominantly white and predominantly not minorities. Black people often have that pressure on their shoulders from the day that they learn to walk and talk. They're raised that, you have to do more. You have to show up better because you're Black. People already have strikes against them, especially if you're a Black man. And I, for one, want to say that that's just not fair to us as Black people. We shouldn't have that pressure of the world on our shoulders, but we do. I saw a tweet on Twitter. I'm going to pop it right here. And when I saw that, I'm like, that is so true. When Black people lose it, when Black people snap, when Black people have these moments of weakness due to anger and emotion, we don't get to be human. We feel guilt for making that mistake because we are supposed to be better than this. But I want y'all to understand, there are some non-Black people out here that feel the way that they feel about Black people no matter what they do. What I mean by that is there are some racist people in this world that do not love Black people, do not want to see Black people doing anything. It doesn't matter how smart they are, how educated they are, how talented they are, how great of an athlete, actor, singer, songwriter, producer they are. It will never be enough because to them, they are still a Black person. And if you have that in your heart, it doesn't matter if Will smacked Chris or if he said it kindly. These Black people are just here for entertainment and they're not respected and seen as human. Disclaimer number 2. Don't be too disappointed because you feel like this will ruin opportunities for Black people in spaces like the Oscars. A lot of jokes last night about how the Oscars will be way less Black people there because of this specific situation. I just want to point this out. The Oscars excluded Blacks and other minorities long before this incident. And while diversity is occurring more in 2022 than ever before, you have to understand that that is not based on how Black people acted in these spaces. It is based up on the people who form these spaces. The media is predominantly white, male dominated, straight dominated. If you go back to the 90s and you compare the 90s to the mid and late 2020 time, you see a difference. But you have to understand that prior to the 2000s, this was just the way that the media was set up. And that is not any doing of ours. It is the doing of the people who control those things. Additionally, I want to point out that Meg the Stallion performed We Don't Talk About Bruno in alignment with the original cast as a surprise. And this was her first time being at the Oscars as well. I saw her interviewing and she was super nervous, but I didn't feel like she fit doing that. It was cute. It was great to see the representation. I love Meg the Stallion, huge fan. But I want to point it out because I want y'all to understand that the people who invite people to the Oscars pick and choose when they want to include Black people based on what sells. So I don't think that Black people will not be allowed to come to the Oscars because of this situation. Now let's get into Will. I am disappointed for Will rather than disappointed in Will. I don't expect everybody to take my point of view. Y'all can go ahead and start commenting now as I speak to why I'm saying this. This moment in time will always be associated with Jada. This moment in time will always be associated with the fact that he assaulted Chris Rock on national TV and in live in the middle of the Oscars. When indeed, this moment in time should be recognizing the amazing actor that Will Smith is. He's been in so many movies that have moved me and moved people all around the world, and no one is talking about that. No one is talking about how great Will is as an actor because he made this mistake. And for that, I am disappointed for him, not in him. Jada and Will's marriage has been publicly scrutinized for years, but specifically since the Red Table episode where she interviewed August and their entanglement was exposed. And then shortly after, she interviewed her husband and they kind of talked to their open marriage dynamic or denied it. But ever since that moment, their marriage has been scrutinized, and both of them have been pretty embarrassing, if you ask me. And so I think of this as a breaking point, if you will, for Will, only because a man or a human can only take so much. It's not up to us to decide how we would have handled something. Some people will say, you know, Chris handled it well, and I'm going to get to Chris shortly, because Chris could have continued to fight, and it really would have been embarrassing to Black people, but he didn't. You know, we were all shocked. A lot of us feel like it was, are you serious? This was real? This was staged? You see celebrities tweeting like, this was real? This was staged? Oh my gosh. People that were there, you know, content creators that were there, they're like, this wasn't scripted. But public embarrassment sometimes comes with more public embarrassment. If someone is going through something and then this is just the tip of the iceberg, this is just the last straw, you know what I mean? We can't control how that person reacts. And so we need to be intentional about the things that we say and do to people, because you can't control what happens. That's not up to you. He could have spoken to Chris about this after the show. He could have not walked on stage and waited until he accepted the award to bring it up. But then again, that would still take away from his moment in time that was about him being Best Actor. While editing, I realized that I forgot to say one more part, and I just want to insert it right here. People are saying that Will laughed at Jada first, realized that Jada was unhappy, went on stage and punched Chris. As a person that has laughed out of anger, out of shock, out of just, are you kidding me right now? Some people laugh as they're processing emotion. And watching that, it doesn't look like he's laughing because he thought it was funny. He's laughing because he's about to get up there and smack the shit out of him. And so, especially giving the history, which I'll get to that when I get to Chris's part, Will have consequences to deal with. He might be blacklisted. There might be future opportunities that would have been perfect for Will that they may not consider using, because there are some people who just feel like violence is not the answer and they may not want to work with him anymore. His moment, for me, that's a major consequence. Whether they have an open marriage or not, that's his wife, and he is basically making it clear that you are going to respect my wife. Hands down, that's an example of honoring your partner. But is that a pride move, or is it a honoring your wife? Are you protecting her? Which I guess I'll go ahead and move over to Chris. Comedians have a special role in seeing the humor in everything and everybody. Nobody is safe when it comes to comedians. And when you think about the history of comedy, people talked about appearance all the time, being too skinny, being too fat. Back in the 90s, being a BBW, that wasn't popular. Now, in the late 2020s, that has become unacceptable, and comedians are not even safe from getting canceled. Think about Dave Chapelle and his Netflix special and how there was a lot of controversy around it because he went for the LGBTQ plus community, specifically highlighting the T. Their community is one in which we're seeing you will get canceled if you come for them. And so if you think about the history of comedy, Black people are not safe, white people are not safe, Asians are not safe. Black people are targeted all the time. And in the LGBTQ plus community, they have made that clear, like, you will get canceled over this. And so I would love to see us get to a point where we cancel over all that. You know, if you're disrespecting Blacks, you canceled. If you're disrespecting Asians, you're canceled. If you're disrespecting LGBTQ plus, you're canceled. But it's not there. And so there's imbalances in this system. But I would like to say, in being a comedian, you write your own jokes. You understand how to read the room. There is a time and a place for everything, right? And so in this particular moment, Chris could have used that time to talk about anything in this world. He could have even focused on Will, because Will was going to be that recipient. Why make a joke about Will's wife? You know what's in the envelope. So it's like you're taking away from his special moment too. And that's where I'm disappointed in Chris, not for being a comedian, but for not understanding the power that he had in that moment to have done anything with his delivery, and then choosing to talk about Jada Pinkett's appearance in a harmless joke, calling her G.I. Joe Jane. Maybe he didn't know that she had alopecia. Some of my friends knew this. I didn't know this. I didn't know until last night because it went viral and everybody's, yeah, she has alopecia. But I've been one who always says, you shouldn't talk about people's appearance because you never know. Look at Chadwick Boseman. He had cancer, and when he was losing weight, people made awful comments about him, not knowing that he was battling colon cancer. And so people wait until people die to be like, see, that's why you shouldn't talk about appearance. But then in these moments, you excuse comedians doing it, and you also excuse other people from doing it on Twitter whenever something goes viral. But then y'all want to scream mental health matters, but it doesn't, because if it mattered, we wouldn't excuse this sort of behavior. But at the same time, there is a gray area that includes what's appropriate and what's not, and understanding your audience and reading the room. And I just feel like in that space where Blacks weren't always welcomed and minorities weren't always welcomed, Black women are not protected and not celebrated and not encouraged, to take that moment to embarrass another Black woman in front of a mostly white audience and Black counterparts wasn't the best decision. And so although Chris caused this, Will's reaction could have been different. Chris's jokes could have been different. And I will say that Chris held his composure very well. I think once out of shock, because, when Will was coming to him, he's like, oh no, like what's going to happen? Like, I don't think he expected Will to smack him. But at the same time, like, I don't think he thought too much into it about making the joke, because Black women are always the butt of jokes. It's just kind of normalized. And so I guess he didn't think that through, but I'm certain he'll think it through going forward. In 2016, I believe at the Oscars, Chris Rock did a set that was basically going after Will and Jada in a disrespectful way because they boycotted the Oscars. And I believe he was warned nicely at that time to stop doing that and decided to continue. And so, again, every action has a reaction. Chris, from what I'm hearing, is not going to pursue legal action behind this. And after that happened, he said, yeah, you don't got to worry about it. I'm not going to speak on your wife, and he's probably not going to speak on Will anymore either. He handled being smacked well on TV and in front of everybody. That's super embarrassing. But, Jada looked very embarrassed as well. I just wish it could have played out differently on both ends. And I want to point out also that it is ironic that Chris Rock has a documentary about good hair, and that's mostly focused on Black women and their hair in that documentary. I remember watching that documentary growing up, and for him to basically make that comment, calling her G.I. Joe Jane when she's losing hair, it is extremely ironic, and it just, it feels out of place coming from him. But upon seeing all the reposts, the memes, the commentary from Twitter was popping last night. I also see like Chris Rock isn't necessarily for Black people. He sat in a room with white comedians, including Jerry Seinfeld, and let them say the N-word and was laughing like it was funny. And only Jerry Seinfeld was the one who said, I don't say that word ever. I'm not interested in saying the word, but I don't feel empowered by that. And it's crazy. It took a non-Black person to say it, but not the Black person to be the representation in that room amongst white company to say, hey, that's not okay. If Chris is not really for us, so he probably didn't see the problem with the joke. He might have not known about the alopecia, but regardless of if it's alopecia or not, you could have made a joke about anything in that time, and you decided to make your joke about that. Final thoughts. These notes have been so helpful because I be rambling. Sometimes being nice doesn't work. Sometimes people don't respect you until you show them that you mean business. Violence is not always the answer. But I know most of y'all can think about a time where you've told someone nicely more than once, and it took you getting rude with them, raising your voice, or just not dealing with them altogether for them to realize, oh, you meant what you said. Even with our kids, I'm not going to get into the whole gentle parenting versus whoopings and all that. That's a video for another day. But sometimes even with your kids, if you tell them nicely 3 or 4 times, they think you're a joke until you yell at them, spank them if you do that, or take privileges away. This was just one of those instances. I do want to know your thoughts though. So comment down below. Let's talk about it. I try to do the note thing because I be forgetting stuff and I might have still forgot something. But I'd love to hear what you think. Subscribe if you are new for more trending topics and things of that nature. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.